Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass and Move. And for today's episode, we've got the very first game of the season in our live Liverpool series in the second season this time around, playing Manchester City again. And it's going to be an interesting game to kick off this season. So, a lot has happened, of course, over the summer transfer window. I know you guys are wondering what's going on, but just to quickly show you some things, for example, league table, we do have some new teams, obviously. So Leeds got promoted, Reading got promoted as well, and Middlesbrough are back in the Premier League, so it's going to be very interesting. So just to give you a quick idea, season preview expects us to finish in 4th place, so still above Tottenham and Arsenal again, but they think Chelsea will finish ahead of this time and are going for a Manchester City win once more. In terms of new managers, Jurgen Klopp has overtaken from Arsenal, as it shows here. Didier Deschamps as well taken over Watford, so very interesting managerial changes, and it'll be interesting to see how the teams perform this time around. So in terms of ourselves, we did make some tactical changes that we'll show you in just a second. I think everyone, what they want to look towards is actually transfer history, and this is kind of it. So just to have a quick look at the money, 198 has been spent and 174 has been gone out. So in terms of net spend, not bad at all. In terms of the players that we've lost, pretty bad. So Firmino and Coutinho were already mentioned since last season that they weren't happy and they wanted to move on from the club. So Firmino, Manchester City bought up for 62 million. Coutinho bought for 68 million, straight cash. And as disappointing as it was to lose both these players, it does give us a bit more balance, if that makes sense. And hopefully we can do well without them. Moreno was another player who we moved on, but I don't think he was a key player. James Milner also moved on. And that's kind of where all the money went. All of these loans out, players that have been loaned out are players who should be coming back to us next season, hopefully ready for first team football. And just youngsters that we loan out, not necessarily players we don't want to hold on to. In terms of our ins, Timo Horn has been brought in as our first choice goalkeeper. He's a leading player for most Premier League sides, so he's going to be a key goalkeeper. And to buy him for 15.5 million is not bad business at all. Alex Telles as well has been bought for 15 million. He's valued more now. My assistant manager thinks he's a good player for most Premier League sides, but the reason I bought him was because I thought that he is a better left back than Moreno. So my scouts told me he was a leading player. Maybe they were wrong. Maybe Wolfgang is wrong. I have a new assistant manager at the moment, so his judgment of players, their ability and whatnot, might be a bit off at the moment. So we don't necessarily have to trust this just yet. But yeah, if my scouts are wrong, it's going to be a bit disappointing. But at the same time, not too disappointing, because he's got a great personality. He gets forward whenever possible. He's got great attributes for complete forward on attack, and I think he's a bit better defensively than Moreno was, and so it makes a bit more sense. And obviously we sold Moreno and bought him for half the price. Pablo was bought for 26.5 million. I just want to put something, make something clear, I suppose. Naby Keita was already bought before me. Pablo, Timo Horn and Alex Telles are the only players I paid up for straight cash. Pablo was brought over from Villarreal as an attacking midfield. He's going to be our shadow striker, backup shadow striker to Adam Lallana. He's a Spanish international, 22 years of age, a good player for most Premier League sides, and he's got potential to be a leading player, and so I thought he would be a very decent buy, and of course a decent personality as well, with professional. I'm not a fan of players who have balanced as their, I suppose, personality. So Naby, of course, brought in. He's one of the star players apparently, and he still has room for potential, so he's going to be one of our first choice players as well. And Lacazette bought in for 79 million, but of course, like I mentioned, I haven't paid that money straight up, so I've actually bought him for about 40 million, and then the rest of it is going to be over a span of 3, or I think it's 4 years, 48 months. That's 3 years. The rest of it, and so it's not going to be causing us too much damage. As much as it is a lot of cash, we needed him after losing Firmino and Coutinho, so hopefully he can do well for us. A very comfortable playing in a complete forward role. My only issue with him is he doesn't have necessarily a lot of strength or a lot of the physical side of the game when it comes to the complete forward role, but 27 years of age, we're getting him in his peak. Only issue is he's lacking a bit in the jumping reach, but otherwise I think we've got a very capable striker who can hopefully slot in for us. So that's kind of it. So obviously Firmino, Coutinho, big losses, but we've replaced Firmino as a first choice striker, which is Lacazette. Coutinho left, and we'll go through the squad one by one actually. But yeah, that just kind of explained things. In terms of the tactics itself, We showed you the tactical tweaks made since last time around. This is kind of it. We just got rid of a couple of instructions. The general system still remains the same, which is a pass and move type of style, and players moving in free will with plenty of creativity. We do want to move to the shadow striker role instead of attacking midfielder, but unfortunately for us, Lallana is not too comfortable with it, so we'll keep him as is. And when we play with his backup Pablo, he'll be the shadow striker, and that way we have plenty more movement. Keita's going to be our deep lying playmaker. Henderson, we'll talk more about that in just a second, but the formations remain the same and the tactics have just been tweaked a little bit. So in terms of the players, like I mentioned, I always like to have one star player and then one backup youngster with potential, so I think there's a bit more balance to our side now. Horn is our first choice goalkeeper, like we mentioned. Loris Karius is our backup. He's supposed to have a hint of potential. He doesn't necessarily have it now, apparently, because he's 25 years of age. My assistant doesn't think he can improve anymore. Yeah, I mean, I tried to bring in a youngster with potential, but there were no real options available, so Karius will survive for now. Klein is our first choice, and we finally have Trent back. He's suspended for today's game, unfortunately, but he does have more potential to overtake Klein eventually. But at the moment, a very capable Premier League right back, and he can improve even further, so it's great to see him come back from Stoke in fine form. He's got the personality, he's got the traits, the attributes, and everything is perfect. I think I just want to retrain him to not cut inside from the right wing, because he's supposed to try and he runs the ball down the right, so it's a bit unusual, but I do want to try and train him to not cut inside, because I want him to give us width as much as possible. Left backs are Alex Telles and Andrew Robertson. I think, to be honest, I bought Telles and I think he is the better left back. He should be our first choice left back. It's really gonna show over the season whether Telles or Alex or Robertson are going to be our first choice, but I think I'll start the season with Alex and Robertson as a backup. He has a hint of potential, but I don't think he's actually going to reach it. 24 years of age, it's unlikely, and let's see what happens as the season goes on. Central midfielders, we've got Chan, Jorginho, Henderson and Keita as our options, so we're going to go with the Henderson and Keita midfield. They're the best centre midfielders at the club. Jorginho's improved, and he's a leading player for most Premier League sides at the moment. Chan is the only player who's supposed to be good and has potential to be a little bit better, but to be honest, again, I'm not sure whether he'll actually improve. 24 years of age, he had last season to improve, played plenty of games last season, but didn't necessarily get any better, so it's a bit of a concern. In terms of our wingers, we've got Kent, Chamberlain, Mane and Salah as our left and right wingers. So Kent and Mane are going to be our left wingers. Mane is actually one of the players who was unhappy and wanted to leave. He even put in a transfer request, as unusual as it is, because if we have a look at his information screen, I'm his favourite manager and Liverpool's his favourite club, so it's a bit unusual, but he wanted to leave because he was asking for higher, well, he didn't even ask me for higher wages. He wanted to leave because of the promises that weren't kept last season, and then now apparently he's also wanting higher wages. So I thought, unhappy players, don't want to keep them at the club. At the same time, this gives us a hint more balance, even though we lose a bit of ability with Coutinho and Firmino going away. I think we have a bit of a more balance to our side. Salah, his backup is going to be Chamberlain still, and Chamberlain was okay with a rotational role last season. He should be alright this time. He's the leading player for most Premier League sides. Apparently Wolfgang's changed his opinion again. This is a bit of a concern why this keeps happening. Hopefully that will sort of, the more he gets used to his role, the more he knows the players, he'll be able to judge them a bit better. But yeah, Mane on the left as a leading player, Salah on the right as a leading player as well. We've got plenty of first team ability, and the backups are very capable. And Ryan Kent is a youngster with potential. We've promoted this season. He's come back from his loan at Freiburg in Germany. He's performed not too well there, but hopefully he can do good for us. He's naturally a winger, but he's either-footed and cuts inside from the left wing, so I thought I could just play him as an inside forward as well. Decisions a little bit of a worry, but everything else, his attributes are perfect, so I'm hoping he can slot in. English youngster, ready for the Premier League, and as a backup, hopefully he can improve and try and aim for Mane's spot. So that's what I mean by a bit better balance. Maybe our backups aren't the best in terms of ability, but at the same time, no one's unhappy with game time, no one's going to be complaining, and the morale in the squad should remain the same. So we already talked about Lallana and Pablo as attacking midfielders. Lacazette is our first choice, of course, and Divock Origi has come back from his loan with a good player from most Premier League sides' ability and a significant improvement in terms of potential ability, so hopefully he can prove his worth and his potential. 23 years of age, he does have hope to become a leading striker for the club, and he's very suited to our side by being comfortable with a complete forward role. In terms of the under 23s, there are quite a couple of players there that I couldn't get rid of, so have a quick look here, just sort them out by age. Simon, Daniel, Sturridge are the big ones, really. Are those the only ones? There must be other ones. Marco as well is there. I think that's it really. Solanke is another player, striker, who's ready for Premier League action. It's a bit unfortunate that that Divock Origi was here too. I thought Divock is a bit better than Dominic Solanke at the moment, so I thought I'd go with him. But he is a complete forward. He's very suited to the role. He's plenty of good attributes other than his passing and long shots. So I'm hoping when he comes back on loan from Crystal Palace, who are a Premier League side, he'll be good enough. And if Origi doesn't fulfill his potential, Solanke can take his role as a backup youngster, English talent, of course. So we've got plenty of options. Marco is the one who's been... We had plenty of central midfielders basically with the four that we've got at the club as well. Keita and, all the other ones, Chan, Henderson and Jorginho. We also had Marco. I thought he didn't do too well with the attacking midfield spot. He has a decent player for most Premier League sides and only potential to be a good player. So I thought, we need a better backup youngster with potential, since his potential isn't someone who can actually become a first teamer. And so that's why I bought in Pablo. He got unhappy because obviously I bought someone in to replace him. Tried to sell him off. He's got balanced personality, which I'm trying to avoid anyways. And so I sent him down to the under-23s because we couldn't actually get rid of him. No one's really bid for him. Sturridge is the same, but Sturridge's contract runs out in 2019, so I think everyone's just going to wait to try and sign him in January. And yeah, Sturridge is he's got his susceptibility to injuries, which is something I try and avoid with any player possible. But he's also just a good player for most Premier League sides, so it didn't make sense for him to be our first choice striker. He's a bit better than Origi, but just didn't make sense. Tried to sell him off, and I bought in Lacazette, of course. But Sturridge, no one wants to pay the high wages that we're paying for him. Tried to loan him out as well, and that didn't help. Simon's been bid on for a loan by Juventus. They're happy to pay all his wages. The same is said about Danny. But the truth is, a lot of the teams aren't happy to come in for these players because Liverpool are paying them ridiculous amounts of wages, and so I'm just gonna have to kind of wait until their wages, until their contract runs out. Sorry. So a couple of players here who were a part of the team last season who aren't necessarily part of this time. But the squad remains somewhat the same. We've got some key players here and hopefully players we can build the squad around. Still definitely a very capable squad. Some injuries early on in the season. Trent, like we mentioned, is suspended. Mane is the first choice. He's in rehabilitation. Chamberlain's just out for 11 days and Origi just 5 to 12. So nothing huge, but they are missing for today's game. We can have a quick look at the Premier League's top transfers, but it's nice to see us jump up above Germany in terms of the competition reputation, so we seem to be doing okay there. Have a look at the transfer window. Let's see. Let's have a quick look at the manager movements actually first. Alright, Watford are the only ones apparently, but let's have a look at the transfer window. So major transfers were Lacazette, Coutinho, Paulo Dybala has been bought by Manchester United, Keita to Liverpool. That's kind of it. But Arsenal have had a 6 ins, 5 outs. Ciro Immobile is supposed to be their biggest signing. They've done decently to replace Lacazette, but I don't think obviously Ciro is better than him. Don't have Champions League football as well, so probably couldn't replace him well enough, but they did okay there. And I think really it's City who are the smartest in the transfer window. I wasn't a fan of selling our 2 biggest players to Manchester City, but I have faith in my players and I think we'll do okay. And hopefully we can see that type of result today. Obviously no one else was really interested in signing the players. No point keeping them when they were unhappy. They were just causing a bunch of trouble for no reason. So I thought, just get rid of them. It's better that way. And, we'll be better off without them, hopefully, in the long run. We do have a first 11 of very capable leading players, and our depth is quite good, other than maybe the goalkeeping department, and maybe the left-back department needs some sorting out. But anyways, this team we'll be going with today, I think... I'll actually go with Alex instead of Robertson. Joe Gomez and Wallace have actually become our first choice central defenders at the moment. Both of them are leading players for Premier League sides, I think. Joe Gomez and, as you can see, Wallace just overtaking Joel Matip and Barta as the first choice centre-backs. A bit of concern, I think it's just because of my assistant manager again, but yeah, Matip is considered a good player for most Premier League sides. Before it said he was leading, and the same can be said about Mark Barta, so a bit of a concern there. Hopefully my assistant manager, once he becomes accustomed to it, he'll actually judge them as leading players. If not, then we need to replace them with better players, of course, give a better depth to the squad. But overall, I'm happy with it. There's not, some things could have gone a bit better, but this is a transfer window. It's obviously ended now. They end it now before the season's even started, just like how it happened in real life. so we'll, not as much time as we would have liked, but hopefully we can still do well. So I think we can go ahead and kick off. The only reason why Joe Matip is getting ahead of Wallace is because Wallace is just a hint unfit, not too much, but I just don't want to risk him getting an injury, and that's kind of it. I think we can quickly show you the preseason, but I never read too much into results, so I'm not going to go through them one by one. But basically went on tour in China for 3 games, and I like to have a bunch of 3 games at home as well, so that way we get finances through both, and hopefully this will help with our overall finances. But in terms of how much money the board left me, they gave me a ton of money in truth. This is after a bunch of the sales as well, but we did have a lot of money, and at the same time we've also made a decent amount of money with 238k. Apparently we're projected to fail the FFP, but I think we'll be alright. I think that just needs to be adjusted. Projected is 18 mil, but I think we'll be okay. We'll see what the sanctions are when they do come up, but at the moment we'll be alright. I think that's kind of it. I think we could go ahead and kick off today's game. We've got City here, Tottenham as well. Maybe we could do back to back. But I think I just want to start with the first game of the season, and then we can move on quickly enough. In terms of the board expectations, still the same as last season. Qualify for Champions League football, reach the quarterfinals of the Champions Cup. For FA Cup, they've sort of, instead of said final, they're like, okay, we'll lower it a bit to semi-final, and League Cup still doesn't matter. But yeah, in terms of our own aims, which are going to be trying to go for the Premier League this season, hopefully. Too many ins and outs for my liking, but I'm hoping we can get over the dynamics issue and just put in a good season. Of course, Germany and all the other European clubs in truth can still come in for Mane, so it's a bit of concern, but I'm going to keep trying to refuse. But as you can see, a couple of these players are unhappy, but generally match cohesion is good, dressing room atmosphere very good, managerial support is very good as well, so we should be okay. I think finally we can actually kick off, and with less intensity we'll have less injuries than last season, where we struggled to maybe, Coutinho was out injured for quite some time. I forgot, I think I could have showed you the injuries. I'm not sure whether I can still show you last season's injuries, but maybe we can have a look at the medical center. I think last season, injury history. Can we go back? Okay, so if we just have a look at the injury history, does it not show the number? Klein was out for 5 months, that's okay. Lallana 4 months. There was a point where it shows how many injuries they picked up, and I think Coutinho, Sturridge, Firmino, and I think even Mane, or was it Lallana? They must have gotten injured into the double figures, the amount of times they've gotten injuries, and so it's just got ridiculous. There's no point doing it anymore, and I think it's not really showing. I think I should have showed you last season, but either way, let's go ahead and kick off. So City going with the tried and tested 4-3-3, which we seem to struggle against. We're going to stick to our 4-2-3-1. A couple of debuts here with Keita, Kent and Lacazette all having their debuts. Very interesting one for Kent, of course, a youngster potential. Didn't expect to start. Also got Alex Telles and Timo Horn performing. Hopefully all these players can settle in quite quickly. They do also have their starting Coutinho. Firmino's on the bench for them, and they've gone with an Otamendi and this player here, who's a very interesting player. I always want to sign him. He's a wonder kid, resolute personality, suits everything as a ball-playing defender. My issue with him is, I don't think it shows here, but it actually is a susceptibility. He has a susceptibility to injuries, which is something that I never like to sign a player. There's no point having a top player who's always injured. We've got Berge here as well, interesting one, haven't seen before. But yeah, I think they've kind of already reshuffled their side. I mean, if you think about it, De Bruyne and Aguero and Otamendi are the only players who've been around City for 2 seasons time, I think. But anyways, having said that, we're also with a bunch of new players, so we can't judge too much, and let's see how we can perform today. Henderson's taken up a new role this season. I thought deep line playmaker, he didn't have the best of times last season, so maybe as a ball-winning midfielder he'd be a bit better. Of course, that helps him partner with ball-winning midfielder with Keita, who can play as a DLP, because obviously he can't play as a ball-winning midfielder, so just to try and squeeze them both into the same side. Alright, so passionate, can't expect to win, but let's go for the pundit one. And I'm hoping to see a very good performance of Timo Horn here. We're not playing as high a line, but we do close down a lot, so you can expect City to try and pump the ball in behind us. But let's see how they plan to play, whether they're going to shift their tactics or not. Alright then, we can get rid of this now, and ready to kick off. So just replays are on, goals, perfect, and let's hope to kick off the season with a win. and send City, a serious sign that we're not going to be messing around in terms of the title and go straight for the win. Having said that, City on their counter-attack. Bernardo trying to, he does find Aguero successfully, and Aguero spreads it out wide to Coutinho, who's obviously facing his former team. Takes everyone on really solo, and no one really trying to stop him, but thankfully it's a long-range and silly shot. And Timo Horn doesn't even have to make his first save of the game. So, like we mentioned, always 4-2-3-1 always seems to struggle against the 4-3-3, so I might have to change our formation up a little bit. I'm happy to just see how the game goes on, and we have a nice little free kick from Kent Salah Gomez, and it can't be squeezed in. But very decent delivery from Kent. I didn't think he'd be the one who's taking set pieces. Suddenly we're starting to slowly dominate the game apparently, but I expect City to come back in with this and not give up easily. Horn with the goal kick. Danilo just heads down. Henderson does well in that ball-winning midfielder role. Keita finds him again, and Kent's on the ball here. What can the youngster do? Finds Telles really well. Alex, I feel like I'm saying his family name wrong, but either way, can he deliver from out wide? Goes to the byline like his role tells him to, but it's a poor delivery, and then Edison just gobbles that up really, and he can try and get City going once more. Can we win the header though? Well, we don't need to. Alex is already back there. Didn't think he already made it there, but Kent's on the ball again. Just has to be a bit smart with it. Keita finds Lallana well. Can he put a good through ball in? Lacazette's through. Can he finish? Oh, he goes unselfish, but Salah to Kent, and Kent gets the opening goal, and a goal on his debut. And Lacazette ended up doing the good thing, I suppose, but Lacazette and Salah, both of them, very unselfish in their play there, because either one of them could have taken the shot and tried to score. I thought Lacazette was really through on goal. I thought he'd take his man on and beat him. I mean, this player here doesn't do anything, but I suppose he's a bit worried about losing it. Salah does well to find Kent, but he could have even found Lacazette in truth. But the point is, all-round good play, 2 clear-cut chances, a goal for ourselves, and City have done nothing serious to cause us any real trouble. They're a bit worrying, of course, but I think we're doing okay. 1-0 is a scoreline. They haven't created any real clear-cut chances, but the question is, can we keep this performance up? Lacazette rises, but not high enough. Bernardo's on the ball for his team. Alex tries to come in for the tackle. Henderson, though, makes up for his mistake, and that's exactly what I want to see from a ball-winning midfielder. Henderson already performing well compared to his DLP role. Keita on the ball, though. Does well to find Lacazette, who's dropped deep. Lallana's overlapped him, but Lacazette goes for Kent instead, and is the youngster going to go by himself? No, instead he goes back to Lacazette, and that's 2-0. And City are falling apart in front of their own fans. 25 minutes, 2 goals, and it's the 2 debuts from the 2 new players who are scoring. So hopefully Pep doesn't put in one hell of a team talk at halftime, because we want this to keep going. And Lacazette showing that he's got the vision and passing to find a player through. Kent does a really good run, and not only does he, get into the box and take his man on, but he's so unselfish and finds Lacazette. That's just good all-round play. We're seeing good performances from our player today. I'm glad to see that maybe last season the problem wasn't the 4-2-3-1 formation, but rather the way we were playing against City and the players that we're playing. Of course, the players are going to be more adjusted to tactics this season than last season. We have got a bunch of new faces, but hopefully the core group remains the same, and Lallana is one of those players, but hopefully we don't see any more of that. I think our tactical tweaks has helped us as well. We're not playing, we don't have a ton of instructions. We let the players make their own decisions, and they're playing very fluid football as well, so it's good to see, and I think it just works a bit better, so we're not too intense. But anyways, we head into halftime with a 2-goal lead. And once more, the question is, can we finish the game with that 2-goal lead? City aren't too far behind in the other stats, of course. Match stats, 6 goals to our 9 shots, 2 shots on target to our 5. Total fouls, we outnumber that as well. We closed down more, so that's kind of expected. Possession's quite equal, but for some reason, they haven't really created any chance of note, and I think that Coutinho chance is the only one. But anyways, very pleased, of course. We need to try and let these players keep it up. Halftime ratings aren't too great other than Kent and Lacazette, and that's fair enough, I suppose. We just need to keep it up, and they look ready to walk through walls in the second half here. But we will have to keep an eye out on City, who would definitely be coming out here trying to turn this game around. Aguero on the ball for his team. Finds Mendy well, and for some reason he's lost Mohamed Salah, who hasn't really closed him down. And thankfully, that cross wasn't as dangerous as it could have been, and Horn can get us on our way. But obviously, nothing has really happened apparently. But anyways, good to see our players performing well. City also underperforming hugely. I can't see them really getting back into the game the way this match has gone. Henderson picking up a slight injury, which is a bit of a worry. Chan's on the bench though, so we can bring him on. No real need for any other substitutions in truth, so we'll keep the game going as always. Klein hopefully doesn't pick up another yellow, because we can't afford to go a man down. If we can get a third, this game will be really comfortable, because otherwise City are going to keep trying to come at us. Sold Coutinho, sold Firmino, but it's Kent who's the one who's stepping up. And credit to the youngster for scoring on his debut. He's a little bit tired, so I don't have anyone on the bench for him though. Mane was a bit injured. We could play someone out of position. But I want someone who's right-footed. Lallana's either-footed, I think, but he's not comfortable as an inside forward. I don't think he's got the pace or acceleration for it. Who is the other one? Jorginho apparently, but he's supposed to be a DLP. I mean, what on earth is he doing there? I think I'll do that anyways. So let's take off Kent for Jorginho. Deserves a bit of rest after that good performance. And save the last one for later. I'd love to take off Klein, but unfortunately our only fullback on the bench is actually Robertson, because obviously Trent was suspended for today's game, and this is exactly the kind of scenario where I would love to have had Trent to replace Klein. Also, another issue is that Klein is not performing too well, so yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this season. I think, like I mentioned, definitely better balance. Maybe not the best of quality. We did lose some huge talent in Firmino and Coutinho, but I could argue that Firmino didn't have the best of seasons. Coutinho was really important in truth, but again, I felt like, you know, there wasn't too much balance to the side, and Mane, you know, was a hero for us, and he was supposed to be the backup last season, so it kind of puts things in perspective. So yeah, I think balance is always better than quality, and we have youngsters that we can bring in who can hopefully step up. Aguero just walked by Gomez there like he was nothing, and that's actually quite a ridiculous way. Sterling's probably going to try and set... Ooh, City... Oh, thank God. Mertens just hit the post twice, then we survive. But City almost made things very uncomfortable for us there. 10 more minutes to go. They're probably going to go extra attacking. Let's see who's... No one's hugely underperformed. Some solid performances, but no one performing badly. Klein and Telles are the only ones tired, so maybe just take off Alex for Robertson and see what the so-called backup... If you ask me, Robertson and Alex are apparently both equal in ability, so they'll have to battle it out for first-team football. I don't think anyone necessarily stands out above the other. But as you know with me, if you're in form, you get the game time. Doesn't matter if you're better or worse. Gomez on the ball for our side. Matip. Back to a goalkeeper, and Horn just lobs it forward. Can Lacazette win the ball? Otamendi rises, and Mertens isn't quick enough because Salah's on the ball here. Can he set Lacazette through? Almost. Lallana though, what's he going to do? Oh, he tries it, but Coutinho tries to get City on the counter. Keita reads it well though, and Jorginho's on the way here. And what can he do from the out wide position? Lallana's through. Can he finish? Ooh, City let off the hook there. 5 minutes left. We could have really tied this game up. But instead, we're going to go the nervy way, I suppose. More so than the shots and all that sort of business, what I'm really happy about is that we've limited City to a completely no single clear-cut chance. They've had 2 half chances, which is obviously a tiny bit of a concern, but half chances you can hopefully deal with. And the good thing is that we've created 3 clear-cut chances, so we're not having pointless shots that, you know, City might be doing. We've won in the first game of the season with a bunch of new players, and we've won away from home, so that's very interesting, and hopefully that's you know, something that spells of what more is to come. If that makes even any more sense. I've accidentally told my players I'm very pleased with them when I should have warned them not to be complacent, but it's very early in the season, so I think we'll get away with that. I'm a fan of if I praise my players at half-time, I don't like to praise them again at full-time. I like to warn them about complacency. I feel like that works better. If I tell my players off at half-time, I don't like to tell them off at full-time again, because I feel like that's just compiling the sadness, of course. So that kind of thing is just the way I like to do my team talks, but of course everyone's got their own way of doing things. But anyways, it's a great way to kick off our season, and let's try and keep it up. We do have a bunch of difficult fixtures coming up. I think the match engine or the CPU or whoever comes up with this schedule have tortured this once more like they did last season. We faced City, Tottenham and Arsenal all in one go, and actually I think we'll be back for Arsenal. I like to show one match per month. So this month's games were City and Tottenham, and I felt City was a more important one, and of course first game of the season. I always like to show that as well. In September we've got a ton of games here. We won't show you any cup competitions like we mentioned, like we did last season, until we actually meet expectations of those competitions. So Champions League won't be until quarterfinals, League Cup won't be until the final, for example. A bunch of games here, but I feel like Arsenal's the bigger one, so I think we'll be back for that in the next episode. But yeah, I think that's all for today's episode. If you did enjoy it, then please do hit the like button and subscribe for more Daily Football Manager 2018 content. And of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. And as always, once again guys, thank you all very much for watching.